Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please?
Are you ready? Are you ready?
Yo, what up, what up? It's your boy Rubino.
And this DJ in the building.
And you listening to the UpNUp Podcast.
Yeah.
Wait, what are we doing?
I don't know, just listen.
Yes. Welcome.
What it do?
Ladies and gentlemen, you're tuning to the UpNUp Podcast. I'm your host, Rubino.
And it's DJ man.
What up, man?
What's going on?
How you doing?
Man, I'm good. Got a big smile on my face.
Why is that?
I'm going to just smile the whole show.
Okay.
Yeah.
Usually you start to show off. I'm trying to, gauge your mood.
I'm going to smile the whole show.
It's always positive, but sometimes, you know, everybody go through shit.
Come on, man. Let's go.
For the first-time listeners out there, thank you and welcome. This is the UpNUp Podcast. This is the podcast where we're focused on cultivating culture. We do that by providing amazing stories of individuals, groups, movements, movers, shakers, doers, thinkers, just out here, man, carving lanes, right?
Yeah.
Paving ways for those coming behind them in spaces that need representation, man, and doing their thing. I do want to start off by saying happy Juneteenth, right? Can we get a cheers to that or something? Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
This might be the first time I've never said round of applause and they actually did it. That's what's up, man. Teamwork, man. But yeah, man, happy Juneteenth, man. Just wanted to, send that message out there to everybody out there who's celebrating and, take some time to reflect on the history and what it means, the origins of the holiday. And, I think it's good to look back to move forward. So now also want to shout out all the consistent viewers and supporters and listeners of the podcast. We definitely appreciate you guys. We appreciate all the encouragement, the support, the great energy that they're giving to the platform. And not just us as a platform, but also the guests that come on this show, right? I can't tell you how many times we've had people come on this show and then, it may be a listener or a viewer who's actually connected or reached out to someone who's been on the show and, wanted to learn more about their journey, their experience and whatnot. So shout out to the listeners and the supporters. Now, if you want to continue supporting the podcast, you know what to do. You can follow all the episodes on YouTube, SoundCloud, and iTunes. Make sure to rate, review, subscribe.
And like it too.
Yes, like it too. Just type in the UpNUp Podcast, and that's where you can find it. Also, please follow us on all social media platforms @_TheUpNUp. We got a lot of great things in store. Stay tapped in, stay looped in. Also, UpNUpClothing.com is officially live. It's been live for about a month now, right?
Yeah.
I see people out there getting fresh.
Yeah.
Right? So go ahead and visit.
Yeah.
You can also follow us on social media @_UpNUpClothing as well, or just go to UpNUpClothing.com and stay on the UpNUp in style. And while we're on the topic of the store, as we mentioned last episode, and we're going to continue mentioning until about July 31st, we're actually running a ticket giveaway, free ticket giveaway to go see who?
Nas,
man, the one and only.
the legend.
One of the GOATs. He might be the GOAT, in my opinion.
Yeah.
We're not going to debate
Yeah,
it. We're not going to debate
yeah.
it. But yeah, we're giving a free pair of tickets away to anybody who's made a purchase on the online store between May 13th up until July 31st. You get a chance to go see Nas featuring AZ and other special guests live at the Showwear Center in Kent, August 17th. So go ahead and visit UpNUpClothing.com and let's get it popping. Now, is there anything else? Any other announcements? You good?
I'm good.
I always feel like you got some stuff you want to. You good?
I'm good, bro.
All right, man.
Yeah.
Now, for those of you first-time listeners, this is how it goes, man. We bring amazing guests up on this show, as the consistent listeners know, and we always want to make sure we're bringing a compelling story, something that's going to drive inspiration, motivation, positivity, right? Especially today's episode, right?
Yeah.
I think it's good to be positive, right? Whoa,
I'm
okay.
just smiling, yeah.
Okay, I like that, man. I don't know if that kind of felt okay. That was good. And today's guest, man, this is actually, every guest we have is a special guest, right? They all have their own uniqueness to them. But this guest, I would say, is a woman who's taken it upon herself to inspire us all to be the positive light that I feel this world desperately needs, right? Today and tomorrow and yesterday, right? She's an amazing and driven talent that's keeping everything she's doing on the up and up, right? Obviously. Otherwise, she would not be with us tonight. To give you a little insight on the work and, experience that she's been able to gain thus far, she's the founder and creator of the Promote Positivity movement. She's a young media mogul in the making, right? Let me tell it, right?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of others who follow the movement can see that this is where it's heading. And, above all, she's a woman who's paving a way for more accurate and cultural representation in the media space overall. And, having a mission to continue, just sharing and inspiring informative stories and spreading joy through the world. I'm doing a lot of play on words here.
Yeah.
Right?
I like it.
Let's just get straight to it, man. Our guest is none other than the Positivity Pusher. Yeah,
I like that one too.
Right?
Yeah.
You know, good for one. The Positivity Pusher herself, Hannah Joy Gebresilassie. Can we get a round of applause? Yeah. Welcome. Okay. I said cultural. You kept it cultural. I feel
Sure
it.
did.
Welcome to the show.
Wow, thank you for the warm welcome. That was a lot of kind words you said there. I like to play on the words.
As a past life, I was a rapper. But we're not gonna talk about that. It's cool. It's cool.
We could talk about that later.
Off air.
Yeah.
Okay.
But welcome to the show. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. For
All the way
having
from
me.
Atlanta, Georgia.
Whoop, whoop.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Atlanta.
Yes, it does get hot. But I thank you for having me, both of you all. This is crazy that we're all sitting here because I remember connecting on social media, a year and a half ago, and seeing what y'all were about to do, and y'all are 42 episodes in now. It's just really cool. It's been really cool to watch y'all's journey, and I love what y'all are doing in the community.
Yes.
I love what y'all are bringing to the community through your storytelling, through your platform, and I'm just truly grateful to be a part of this and really honored.
Thank you.
Well, let's get to it, man. You know how the show goes, man. We started with the quote of the day. I'm not allowed to tell the quotes on this show, so go ahead, man.
All right, man. It's cool. You can totally read it again, though.
One day. I hope I can.
All right. So the quote of the day is: "My mission in life is to not merely survive, but to thrive, and to do with some passion, some compassion, some humor, and some style." I thrashed that, so I'm about to read it back.
Who's that?
Maya Angelou.
Ooh.
Yeah. Go ahead, man.
You know,
Run it back for those in the back. Yes, sir.
My mission in life is to not merely survive, but to thrive, and to do with some passion, some compassion, some humor, and some style.
I actually like that quote.
Yeah.
I think that quote fits perfectly too, especially for your story. Because what I got from that quote is you can be all things and one thing at the same time, right? Like you don't have to just be one way. You can be multiple different ways. You can contribute multiple different types of personalities and still have kind of one driven mission. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now, obviously, you've done a lot of work, right?
Yeah.
And you know how the show goes, right? We're about transparency. We're about kind of talking about the build up and whatnot. But I do also want to give you a chance to really give those who don't necessarily know what the Promote Positivity movement is about. Just kind of give them a little spiel on kind of what you guys are really trying to accomplish with that before we get into the journey.
Yeah, I love the quote, by the way. I really appreciate you tying that in today. And also, I'm a big fan, so I knew you were going to do that with the quote.
Yeah.
I know it's going to come at the end, too. I done seen some episodes.
Okay. Did your homework.
I did. But with the Promote Positivity movement, it basically kicked off last November in 2018. It basically is a movement created to spread love, spread light, and just push through. When I say positivity, I think a lot of people get misled in thinking that, I'm happy 24/7, I'm like a robot, or like I think everything is perfect and there's no bad in this world, and that's all false. There's so many challenges, there's so many hurdles that we all go through in life. And so with me, when I think promote positivity, I mean that we're going to push through those challenges. We're going to push through those hurdles. We're going to overcome what we're going through because we're all going through something. And so the promote positivity movement is just that, being able to go in communities, connect with one another, share our experiences in a safe space, and be able to overcome together. And with the movement comes the brand, as you all know, the green, yellow, red, blue hearts. Yeah. It's tied in with the whole mission. And when people see this, I want them to think love. I want them to think peace, unity, and regardless of your background, I want everyone to see that in this. And the colors, of course, are inspired by Ethiopia and Eritrea's peace agreement from last year. And the mission, again, of positivity, of love and joy, and all that. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I love it, man. And I love that, you know, it's like, I don't think, it's crazy because, like, a lot of people are selling a lot of things nowadays. And, you know, I think not enough people are, not to say you're selling positivity, but if you were to be selling it, I think that's better than, you know, a lot of the negative stuff that's being sold out here, right? But it's masked as positive, or it's masked as if it's good for you, right? Now, obviously, you've kind of had quite a journey, right?
Yeah.
I think, you know,
We all have.
we all have, right? But let's take it back a little bit. So where did you grow up?
Yeah.
And kind of like, how would you say your upbringing kind of shaped, you know, the outlook and like where you think life was going for you
Yeah.
coming up?
Growing up. So I was born on the West Coast. I was born in Southern California, but
Okay.
we moved to Atlanta when I was like 4 years old. So grew up in Atlanta and surrounding areas, Metro Atlanta, and you know, grew up in a single parent household. So mom worked 3 jobs. My dad was still in my life, and I was very fortunate for that. But you know, saw a lot of struggle growing up. You know, saw someone who, my mom again worked 3 jobs. It would be just me and my brother at home. You know, we started doing laundry when we were like 7 years old. Some of y'all probably did too. It's just something like you just learn. You learn to adapt. You learn to, you know, just be responsible. Well, sort of responsible. But yeah, so I learned at an early age just that I wanted to do better. I wanted to go further and do that in the future. So I think that experience really shaped me. And then just family, growing up there. I grew up in a really close-knit Habesha community in Atlanta. So there was always someone there to take us to church or to, you know, take us to this or that or be there for us. So, yeah, shout out to Deborah Halakadus Gabriel, everybody there. You know, that's my home church in Atlanta.
Yeah, shout them out.
Yeah, in Decatur. So, yeah, I grew up there. And then I just love people. I always love kids. I love family. I love people. And so I don't think it's a coincidence that today my platform revolves around people and sharing their stories.
Yeah, no, that's real. That's real. And I think I just asked that because you know, recently I've really started to realize the importance of reflecting on like your upbringing and your childhood. I think a lot of times we can be like, oh man, I was just a kid. And you dismiss a lot of things that you saw, the way you behaved when you were a kid. But I look back at myself and I'm just like, wow, this type of stuff still exists today in who I am and my DNA and my character. So I think it's always good to reflect and see how all of that ties into now what you're doing, right?
Yeah, definitely. And a lot of it is, you know, attributed to my parents too. Like many people can relate, but my parents were refugees. They came to the United States in the 80s, you know, what they all say with no money, no English, all that. Yeah. And that definitely played a role into who I am. You know, as a child, you didn't really understand always cultural things and, you know, but as I grew up, it just made me more appreciative of my heritage and my background and my family's struggle to get to where we are. Like, and I just knew that, like, whatever I do, whatever field of work I do, I'm incorporating that. It's coming with me.
Yeah.
These traditional braids, they coming with me.
Yes,
you know,
yes.
wherever I am, it's like I carry them with me, you know,
That's
and
real.
their struggles.
Damn. So, all right. So, what about your media background?
Yeah.
Like, how'd you, like, really get into that and, you know?
Yeah. So initially it started off with like sports journalism, sports broadcasts. I used to work for different teams in Atlanta, and you know, I would be at the games, whether it's like football field or basketball court, and I would see and I'd be like, man, like I'm really curious about who these athletes are off the field. What are their stories? You know, what are they doing with their platforms? And I got to see, like I would interview a lot of them, got to interview a lot of student athletes, and I realized like, man, like I love storytelling. I love being able to see who these people are, what they're doing. And then that prompted me to sort of go back to school, study journalism, and then a trip to South Africa and covering stories around Chicago really opened up my eyes to showing me that I loved storytelling in all capacities. While I did love sports reporting, I loved storytelling in general. And yeah, I love sharing stories of people overcoming long odds, people chasing their dreams, people turning visions into reality and like showing the next generation what they can do by learning about someone else's story.
How early did you start exploring media though? Was it in college or was it high school? Because you know,
no?
Well,
I mean, it's crazy
because you had a lot of jobs, right, growing up.
Did 27
Talk
jobs
about them.
by 27.
Yeah.
Yeah, 27 jobs. I mean, I made a video about it, and
that's how I knew. I saw the video.
Yeah, 27 jobs. I'm proud to say, you know, like worked everything from like fast food, Taco Bell, to working at DTLR selling shoes. You know, working with my dad in attics doing HVAC work. working with my mom, cleaning houses, scrubbing toilets. Like, we did a lot. Like, I started working when I was 15 years old. Kroger, if y'all familiar with the grocery store.
Yeah.
I was working there. I remember when minimum wage was like $5-something an hour, and like it'd be like 95 degrees outside, and like I'm pushing all these carts, getting my workout in.
What was it though? I mean, obviously, I can assume that seeing your parents in the demonstration they exemplified through their grind may have like subconsciously been in you, but like at that age, I'm not gonna lie, there's a lot of people who are like, I just want a job so I can buy clothes to look fresh at school.
Yeah.
Like, what was it about you to say, yo, I just want to work, right?
Yeah.
Like, obviously you're getting paid and you probably spent that money on some things, but like, what was it early on that kind of pushed you to do that?
So for me, I discovered dance in high school, and dancing is super expensive. You have to pay dues, you have to pay all these fees, and I knew that my family, they'd be able to support some of it, and they find a way ultimately, but like I knew that I wanted to be able to support that because I just didn't feel like it was fair for me to put that all on them in addition to everything else they're trying to pay for. So that was one of the main reasons why I was like, all right, let me get a part-time job. Let me go walk to work in this hot weather, save up, so I can help pay my dues, and that's what I did.
Hustler.
Yeah, at 15 years old. I mean, I think when you see how hard your family works for you, it makes you want to go harder. It makes you want to help support yourself, help support them, help support those around you, because, it's not fun seeing someone struggle and taking advantage of that. Like, why not, help yourself when you can.
That's real.
Damn.
That's real.
Yeah.
And like, so now I know obviously you didn't work all 27 jobs before college, right? So you were working jobs as you were getting older, as you were growing, right? And I wanted to bring that up because, like, at a certain point, even though you were taking all these jobs, did you feel like you were searching for something as you were taking these jobs, or did you kind of know where you wanted to go and you were just kind of using each job as a way to get closer to this space that you wanted to put yourself in?
Yeah, I think it was more so pushing myself to get to that next stage. I knew I didn't want to be working nothing wrong with the jobs if that is what people want to do full time, but I knew I didn't really want to be a cashier forever. I knew I didn't want to, push carts forever, and I just knew that wasn't what I wanted to do. I felt I could use my skill sets and everything in a different area and find more satisfaction in other roles. For me, it was a means of sustaining the lifestyle that I wanted. It was a means of helping, again, support. That was, and gaining experience too. Like, every single one of those jobs taught me something. Either, how to connect with people, how to work ethic, developing a work ethic, understanding that you're not above or below any job, maintaining that humility, learning how to help manage, or it just, every single one of those jobs prepared me for the jobs down the line and to where I am today too.
Damn. All right. So when did you decide to take that leap? Like, all right, I'm about to just do my own thing.
Yeah. So I was working as a television reporter for an ABC station in Southern Illinois. That's actually how we all connected. Shout out to Beanie with the UpNUp and. Right here, sitting right here. Hey, shout out to social media. We all can connect so easily. I just remember learning about your platform, and I knew when I was working as a television reporter that was not my final. That was not my final chapter.
That's interesting too.
Yeah, while
most people are like, yo, I'm in the building.
Oh yeah.
This is the goal.
Oh yeah, I got a lot of people that were like, "What are you doing? Why are you leaving? This is a great job. How can you leave this?
Yeah, you're on TV."
I'm like, man. I mean, again, I really appreciated the opportunity there. I had an amazing time. Like, found a lot of success. Was able to do really cool things. I hosted my own segment. I got to produce stuff. Just great people out there. And yeah, there were some challenges along the way. It wasn't all pretty, but majority of it was great. But I just got to the point where I knew, if I'm working this hard for someone else, like, what would happen if I worked that hard for myself?
And you were working hard.
I was working real hard. I would stay, I would clock out, of course, but then I would stay another hour or 2 hours, just to be building up my social media following. Like, I would, get all these comments on Facebook, and I would take the time to respond to every single one of them. I would take an hour to make sure that I hit all of them. This was when I only had, maybe 500 followers on Facebook.
It's important though.
It is important, and developing that that relationship with people, and you have to take time. You have to put in the effort for that. So after I clocked out, I would put in time for other stuff, building and creating visions and developing these ideas. Yeah. And then just I got to the point where I realized, I knew that there was something different for me, something where I could be more of myself in terms of like what I want to do with my platform. I don't just want to be on TV. I want to be able to hold community events. I want to be able to, do collaborative events like the one we're doing. I want to be able to share more positive, uplifting stories. And in the role I was at, I covered everything and anything. It could be death and destruction. It could be something very like sad, something happy. There was just like, it was like a range. So I was like, what's the worst that could happen? Like me taking this leap, I mean, I have a backup, like my background to fall back on. I have education, I have experiences. Like I'm only gonna win. I'm only gonna gain new experiences by taking this leap. And it was really scary, of course. Like, I mean, I got anxiety like left and right, but I just knew that it was time. Like, and when you know, and you can keep thinking about it like over and over and over, but honestly, at some point you're just gonna have to take that leap. Otherwise, you're just gonna keep thinking about it.
That's real because like what I also learned about you through kind of the work you were doing at the broadcasting stations when you were a reporter was you did a lot of the work yourself, right? In terms of record. There'd be times where I know you told me you'd be like filming yourself, so you would have to set up the tripod and like press play or press record, and then so it wasn't like you had a camera crew, so essentially you were kind of doing it yourself, which maybe was already kind of prepping you for this thing, because I think it's a do-it-yourself era as it is. We live in a different time, like those people who may have worked at the station with you who came from a different generation aren't used to having tools for them to kind of just do it as they'd like, on their own time. So
it's that creative control, man.
Exactly.
Like,
That's
because we talk about that all the time. So the fact that you could just go do what you want, as far as like controlling your own destiny with your whatever you got going on, I feel like that's one of the most important things.
Yeah, it is. And I was very fortunate because I did have a partner at least 3 times a week, which was like unheard of, like in your first role like that. So I was very fortunate. Shout out to Matt. That was like my partner. And he's super awesome.
Shout out Matt.
Yes, he is amazing. But yeah, to your point, I shoot, edit, produce, write my own stuff. And like I, set up my cameras. And of course stuff happens too. Like there have been times where I'll set stuff up and then I'll go back and like the camera died, or like it ran out of footage, or like room on the card for and I'm like, man, if I had somebody behind to let me know. But you learn as you go. And every single time you just get better and better and better. And to your point, if you're trying to make it in this industry, like become a sponge, learn it all, learn to shoot, learn to edit, learn to write, learn to be in front of the camera. Like me getting in front of the camera, that's the last thing I was worrying about. The last thing I'm doing is putting on lipstick. Like the last thing. I'm worried about getting my story. I'm worried about locking things down, getting my footage, getting everything rolled out, Sometimes there's a misperception that when you think of a TV reporter or a broadcast person, oh, they got the camera. No, we're doing a lot of behind the scenes stuff before we even step foot in front of that camera.
And I think also what's important is, you got a lot of attention through things that you did on air that weren't the norm, but I feel should be the norm, right? Like going out and dressing in your traditional clothing, right? Talking about certain issues, right? Highlighting certain stories that we don't, especially in that town. What was the name of the town you were in?
Southern Illinois.
Southern Illinois? Okay, cool.
Illinois.
I'm not knowing,
So Southern Illinois.
I have a problem like knowing cities, so I just wanted to make sure.
I know they were joking. I do want to say the Illinois, because a lot of people say the S at the end of Illinois and it's silent. I'd be like Illinois, but it's Illinois, it's like silent. So, so a lot of people don't know that. So.
But so like, I just think nowadays more than ever, we need to really control the media, right? In terms of like from a cultural standpoint, making sure like if we're speaking to a certain audience, I think the outlet should be coming from that audience, right? And I think when you were doing that on those stations, it was good for us to see, but at the same time, we also understood. I mean, you could talk about it, but like, was that a fight and a struggle just to get that image out there? Like, did you have to say, hey, like, did you have to really sell it to those, the higher ups?
Yeah.
When now you can do that if you want right now.
Right.
Or we could do it right now.
Go
right?
on Facebook Live. Hey, y'all.
Yeah.
We're here. Yeah, of course. I mean, you have to understand the game that you're going into. There's a lot of, there's protocol. There's these different things that are in place, but that doesn't mean you can't ever challenge it and you can't come in as yourself. Like when I interviewed with this station, some of the first things I talked about was, hey, I'm proud to be the daughter of refugees. My family's from Ethiopia and Eritrea. I love sharing cultural stories. I love, I put it out there early on. So it's not like out of nowhere I'm like coming in saying, oh, I want to do this now.
Yeah.
Like, no, they had, you plant the seed as you go.
Yeah.
You got to like,
That's important.
Planting the seed. And then, the right opportunities were coming and, I did push for it. And, sometimes like, I don't know. It's like I got a yes, and then I just kept going. I didn't stop. I was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna do, and then, I'm like, all right, So,
I don't think y'all know what's about to happen.
Yeah, yeah, like even with like the hair, just being able to wear the braids on air, a lot of stations are, won't have that, like braids, even traditional braids like this, because it's just. That's not their standard, but you have to, I always say, you got to give people more credit for their curiosity. We automatically say, oh, people don't want to see that. Viewers don't want to see that. Yeah, some viewers don't want to see it, of course. And they are allowed. They will call the station. They will email. And they did do that because they didn't like it. But majority of the people do like it. And they don't mind it, because it's not like my work is going to change. Just because my hairstyle changed doesn't mean my quality is going to change. And I think once you can show that, you'll get a little bit more flexibility, and knowing who you work for too, knowing the organization you work for. That's a big thing too. I worked for a group that it was a family-owned station who was very open-minded and very they gave opportunities. It was a blessing to work with that group because I was able to wear braids on air, wear a traditional dress on air, talk about Orthodox holidays that are hardly ever mentioned in Western media news.
It was just kind of like trippy to see that because I'm like, oh, you know what I mean? Like it was like one of those things where you've never seen that before.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like, it's kind of groundbreaking. I don't know if you noticed it when it was happening because you're probably like, man, I'm just doing me.
Well, okay, so the first thing that really happened was the gun knot, which is Orthodox Christmas or Ruhus Ba'al. Like it was a big holiday celebrated in the Orthodox community, and being Ethiopian and Eritrean, like that was a holiday that I just saw growing up as a child. So the first weekend I got the opportunity to fill in as an anchor. I remember, it was Christmas weekend. It was January 7th weekend. And I was away from my family, like in Southern Illinois by myself. And I remember it was like, okay, I was anchoring Saturday and Sunday. So then I said, okay, I anchored Saturday. It went really well. And then Sunday morning, I had to get to the station at 2 a.m., prepare for the show. And then I was going to anchor the 5 a.m. show and the 6 a.m. show. I think it was like, So the day before, I was like, man, tomorrow's Christmas. Like, I'm away from my family, and, like, it would be really cool if I could wear a dress and, like, celebrate the holiday at work because it's a part of the day, and it's a big deal. So I just called my boss, and I was like, hey, tomorrow's a big holiday. It's Orthodox Christmas, and other branches as well, not just Orthodox. Like, I think Catholic and other branches as well celebrate it. But either way, it was a holiday. It was Christmas. Yeah. And I said, hey, like, can I, wear a traditional dress? And he's like, yeah, just, send me a picture. I'm like, okay, I send him a picture. He's like, yeah, that looks like a normal dress, like, okay, wear it. And I'm like, okay, cool. Like, and then he was like, oh, but wait, like, why don't you just go ahead and explain why you're wearing it too, just so the viewers know. Yeah. To me, that's leadership. Like, not only is he saying, wear that on air, but like, take a couple seconds to explain why you're wearing it. That's
acknowledge it.
Acknowledge it. So they're not all like, what is Hannah doing up there? They're like, oh, it's a holiday. She just explained it. So that's what happened. Like, I got in touch with somebody in Atlanta, Saba, like our cousin, and I was like, can you send me some video from the church celebration? She sent me some video. We put it in the show. Wow. I talked about it, and then boom, that junk went crazy. Like, it was just, yeah.
Because like I just. I think a lot of people can relate to working in environments where they're, they feel like they're, undernumbered, they're the minority. And sometimes you just don't want to ruffle feathers. Sometimes you just want to make sure, like, I just need to keep this job. I ain't finna do no extra stuff. Like, oh, I can anchor? Okay, cool. I'm just going to anchor. I'm just going to anchor, you know? And for you to go on that limb and just be like, okay, I'm an anchor, but can I also do this? You know what I mean? A lot of people don't got that in them. You know what I'm saying?
You gotta just try. Just ask.
That's real.
If you want to, the worst he was gonna say in that moment was, nah, we're not trying to do that. That was the worst that he would get. I'm still gonna anchor. I still am on the schedule. They're not about to tell somebody else to come in at 2 a.m. on Sunday.
That's real.
So it's like, I would just encourage anyone, like I said, give people more credit for their curiosity. We automatically assume they don't like that. They don't want to see that. We don't know. Sometimes just asking.
That's real.
You know, just asking will really go a long way.
I feel like people appreciate that too, because they're like, okay, like they really care,
And they're
like,
learning.
Exactly, they really care about my knowledge and what like I perceive the world as and what things really are, and just learning in general. So I think that's like the dopest part.
Yeah.
I never really thought about it like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we can be conditioned to just be too assumptive too. Like I know
Exactly.
myself. I'm super assumptive with certain people, certain cultures, certain people, and I'm like, man, like maybe if I just talk to this person and be true in how I'm speaking to them, not trying to tailor the way I talk to this person because I think this is how they want to hear me speak to them. I'm just gonna keep it real. I'm just gonna talk to you how I talk.
Right.
Yeah.
And but I think it is a greater message in ownership too, because which I want to get into. Obviously, you left the station and you started kind of going. You went independent and you did it your own way. And with ownership, you said creative control, right? So these are like the positives I see: creative control, right? Ownership, right? Freedom. You know what I mean? Joy. You know what I'm saying? Something like that, right? But then there's also like the responsibility, right? Like anxiety, the uncertainty. Like that's the main thing a lot of people are scared of.
Bro.
So how did you balance those, like the positives and negatives?
Yeah, you all are asking really great questions. Honestly, it's gonna be negative. It's gonna be positive. You're gonna have good. You're gonna have bad. And when I left the job, I was very fortunate to have family back home that welcomed me. Come home, Hannah. You got a room. Like no brainer. So me moving back into my mom's, that was the number one. Like, okay, I don't have to pay for rent. Like, let me just be real. I'm not gonna have a paycheck anymore. So that was great. So there's that aspect of it, being able to lean on those around you, being able to not be too above it where you're just like too prideful to go back and move home or like sleep on the couch or whatever. So that aspect of it, and then there's a lot of uncertainty, and there's still uncertainty even right now, but especially right before you launch, you're just like, oh my God, how are people going to receive this? Or like, is it good enough? Or am I good enough? Can I do this? And you won't know until you try it. None of us will know unless we try it. There's no way to like look into the future without actually living it and understanding what happened based on what actually happened. So you have to take those risks and just go after it. And then, just understanding that, like, for me, it's managing everything, trying to find like the smoothest process, like has been, for me a big challenge. It's like, remember like, and giving yourself grace. Because I remember when I first launched, I was like, oh, I'm going to drop a journey time episode every week. You remember that?
I remember that, yeah.
It went from every week to every other week to once a month.
Yeah.
So, I have to be real with myself. I'm managing that, and then I'm doing events, and then I'm managing my merchandise line, and then I'm, trying to set up brand collaborations or partnerships with this group. It's so many different things happening at once. And you just got to give yourself grace sometimes. Sometimes, like, you may say you're going to do all of this and then end up doing not as much. And, like, you can't beat yourself up for it. Otherwise, you're just going to be unhappy. And, I mean, it's one thing to push yourself and say, you know what, I can do better. I can do more. Yes, I can, and yes, I will. But it's another thing to, like beat yourself down when you're already feeling like you're doing something for the first time and you don't know how to move. Just keep moving. As long as you're moving forward, like I always tell myself that I'm good. I'm moving. So
set your pace. Don't react to the race.
There you go.
You know what I mean?
Because I even feel like on the flip side, when you was talking about the viewers' curiosity, I feel like even us being like owners or something, we'll get curious to see how it turns out. So we're just gonna be like, damn. All right, what's this shit gonna look like in 5 years? Or like, what's this gonna look like in 10 years? Especially when you see a little bit. And you're just like, dang, all right, we got to keep going. We got to keep going almost there, and then you realize it's like endless. After a while, you're just like, I'm going to just keep going.
Yeah, I love that point. Someone had said that you have to let your product evolve or your company evolve and like be open to going in different directions. It's gonna evolve in ways that I may not have thought. I'm on a pop-up tour right now. That was not on the radar 6 months ago.
Oh.
You know what I mean?
I
That
know
just
exactly
happened.
what you mean.
So things are going to happen as you go, and be open to it. Be open to those opportunities. Don't shy away from them because it's only going to help you grow. Just be careful about taking on too much to where your quality may struggle. So it's just being mindful and intentional.
Like the 1% rule, right? You want to break that down a little bit because it's such a powerful message where, because I find myself sometimes feeling like, man, it's good to say, yeah, I'm doing this, and this. But at the same time, it's like, are you truly doing it?
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Not like just half-assed doing it? Like, are you truly doing it and giving it the proper discipline and diligence that each thing deserves? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, talk about that 1% rule.
Pretty much, it's like you falling in love with the process of like building or whatever it is. You know, like I remember there was a point where, like when we finally because I always tied it into this to where when we built the UpNUp, and I'm like, dang, if there was another business, you know, I would like the one that I could see like could go somewhere for sure, or like not even for sure, even like 50%. I'm like, okay, yeah, that's a good idea. Like I'll get excited to start from that first step and then go through all that again, you know?
Yeah. I always say you can't get those moments back.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like when we had our launch party, which was 2018 March, right? It was like you can't get that moment back. And there were some things that went wrong during the party, but it was cool. But like, you go back and like, man, that was a good time, right? But you're so far past that moment. You know, it is important. It is important to just understand that. So.
And shout out to y'all too, because I've watched y'all grow. You know,
yeah,
like,
exactly.
This wasn't here. You know, a year ago y'all moved into this. Y'all literally transformed this whole place. Like, you put these up yourself. You know, got this logo made, and like y'all are doing all these things.
Home makeover.
You know, it's those moments. Like all those milestones are so worth celebrating, and I can totally understand where y'all.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, and so I also wanted to ask, like, you probably get a lot of, you know, audience members, I don't know, like people who follow the movement, supporters. I like to call them supporters.
I like that word.
Yeah, I like that word better. Supporters who reach out, I'm pretty sure, and ask for advice. You know, and I also was curious about, like, being a woman and using your voice the way you use it. What gave you that confidence early on? Because, you know, like, women obviously haven't been given platforms to speak, right? And if they have, sometimes they're hesitant to. So like, where do you get that from? Where does that come from to just say, yo, I'm gonna stand on what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
I don't care whether I'm a woman or a man. I got something to say.
Yeah, I mean, historically and certainly in some cultures even today in 2019, that is the case. But for me, like I said, I grew up, you know, seeing a very strong, powerful woman, my mom. Like, again, she was the boss. Like, she worked multiple jobs. Like, she did X, Y, and Z, took care of her family back home, took care of us. Like, she ain't playing no games, you know. And at church, honestly, we were really involved. Like, I remember being the conductor, like, when I was a kid, and just speaking in front of the whole congregation. Like, it just, I don't know, it kind of was instilled in me at a very early age. And then I just, like, as I got older, it's like, I find that I really enjoy speaking and public speaking, and it's just one of the things that I enjoy. And so it's not hard for me to get up and, like, say what I'm saying and actually mean it. And my style, like, people always come to me and after I'm done speaking, they're like, man, I love how, like, casual your speaking style is, because that's what you're going to get, what you see. Like, people will meet me in person who, like, follow either on Facebook or Instagram, and they'll be like, dang, you're just like how you are on, like, you know, on the gram. And I'm like, yeah, like, I'm not going to be any different, you know? So it's like, I would say just being, like, transparent and true and, like, just being myself. I think that helps me, like, just spread the word and speak out confidently.
Yeah, it's important.
I feel you.
Yeah.
So, like, a lot of people, when they think about entrepreneurship, they're like, okay. I mean, the first thing that came to my mind when I was, like, younger and everything, I was like, okay, I got to find a product and I got to sell it. So, like, how would you, I guess, pretty much, like, what advice would you give people that feel like you need a tangible product to, like, be an entrepreneur? Kind of like,
question.
I mean, we have tangible products, whatever, clothes and
right.
stuff, but our, like, main purpose of it is, like, a feeling, a lifestyle type thing, you know?
Right.
So,
Yeah.
what's your take on that?
You're selling more than a product. You're selling a feeling. You're selling, you know, an emotion. You're selling, there's so much tied to the brand or the product that you're selling, you know, and in this case, you know, my merchandise, that's just one line of I guess, revenue for my business model. Like, others come from, you know, social media marketing or, like, you know, there's this whole influencer. We're living in this era of influencer marketing.
Yeah.
You know, people are, so that, you know, trying to tap more into that and, like, build more of that, you know, and so there's that aspect of it. There's, again, building partnerships and collaborations that you can get paid for. There are speaking opportunities that are paid.
Yeah.
There are all these things, you know, and granted, it's a work in progress. Like, I still, you know, have ways to go, but there's all these things that are very, like unconventional that we don't really know of growing up, you know, because it's like, oh, but you got public speakers out here, professional speakers making 6 figures.
Yeah.
You know, if you want to be a public speaker, a professional speaker, motivational speaker, go do it. You know, there's
Just
so
have
many,
something to say though.
Have
Yeah.
something to say. You can't. Everybody can't be. I mean, you know.
I've seen a couple. I'm
Yeah.
like, come on, bro.
It's like, So yeah, I would say that the business model for everyone is going to look different. You know, mine does tie in with a lot of it has to do with social media. My YouTube channel is monetized. My Facebook channel is monetized, and that took work. I remember like getting the email from YouTube my last week of work. Actually, it was after my last day, and I was like driving on the way to Atlanta, and I get the email from YouTube, and it's like, congratulations, your page is now monetized. Now that don't mean I'm making money like that yet, but you know, the more views, the more subscribers, the more it'll grow.
Yeah.
But even just to get to that point, I was like, okay, you know, you have to put in the work. Like if you want to like monetize off your social media, put in the work. And monetization on social media ain't for everybody.
Yeah.
If you just want to enjoy social media and post whatever, like good for you, do that.
Yeah.
You know, you can use it however you want. But for me, like, it is a platform for me to be able to, you know, connect with brands and companies to help make my model more sustainable.
Yeah, and I think you know, one thing I can say for sure, and I'm sure you could probably attest to this, you know, you too as well. I think when you do jump into this entrepreneurship lane, and I think the term entrepreneurship can be very broad. I don't think like there's a true definition for it. I think it's more a mentality than anything. But yeah, I just think along the way you have to realize that, man, I lost my train of thought.
Well, I'll finish it because I do have a thought on that.
I lost my train of thought. I
Yeah.
swear to God, I was about to say like 3 different things at once right now.
Yo, you gave me a thought.
Yeah.
So
Let me get it back.
You passed it to me. So what I was gonna say on top of that.
Yeah, we're telekinesic.
Yeah, I'm gonna finish it. So with entrepreneurship, like to me, it's carving out your own way of, you know, achieving a lifestyle that you want to live. You know, yeah, you can buy and sell, you know, hats and merch and flip that. You know, you may be able to find success in just doing that, but it's more of like finding different ways to generate income while generating impact in what you're doing.
Yeah.
Now, some business people don't even think about impact. They just think about the dollars. And
Yeah.
you got a lot of millionaires that do that. And so with me, I'm always like, even before I think about events that I can monetize on, I'm thinking about community events. That's just where my heart is.
Yeah.
That I'm not going to make a penny off of, but I know the impacts are way worth it. So I'm in
That's
this
right.
place where, as an entrepreneur, I believe I have my priorities straight, even though money isn't always the number one thing I look at. For me, as an entrepreneur, there's a level of influence that I've been able to gain through the work that I do, through the products and services that I offer. So, yeah, it's kind of like you got to
Yeah.
find that balance.
I found my
I
thought.
feel
I know what
like-
I was gonna say. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, yeah. I was gonna say something, but I don't want you to lose again.
Yeah, no.
Go ahead and say
Come
what
on,
you
man.
gotta say.
It's fleeting right now. But no, what I meant to say was, you know, when you go into entrepreneurship, I think the thing you learn is that everything you do up after that point is intentional. It has to be. Like you have to move with intention. Like you can't necessarily, you know, when you work for another company, they're handling a lot of things that you don't have to worry about.
Right.
So
Yeah.
you can come into your job unintentional and just like, all right, I'm gonna go through the motions. When you're an entrepreneur, you have to be intentional and aware of every single move.
Yeah,
right?
you're responsible for all of it.
Exactly, and I think and it does go into impact. So everything you do, you start thinking like, okay, why am I doing this? Why am I putting this effort into this? Right? Like one of my mottos is impact over income. Right? Mainly just because I feel like impact is something that's indelible. It's a good word. I actually learned that a little.
Indelible.
Hold on,
Yeah,
time out. What's
yeah.
that mean?
Yeah, I know.
It just means it's ingrained. Like it's something that doesn't necessarily, you know, erase or go away.
Okay.
And so
right.
it's.
Indelible.
I think, yeah, indelible. There you go. Look it up. We'll pull it up for y'all, man. Indelible, right? And impact is something that doesn't leave, but whereas income is you know, it fluctuates. It comes and goes, right? Money comes and goes. So I think intentionality and impact is something that I would say as an entrepreneur you should really focus and hone in on.
Yeah.
To really, because it's a long journey.
It is.
And you don't know when it's gonna stop.
You don't.
If it does, you know.
I feel like it makes you sharper though.
Yeah.
Because like, you know how you said when you go into a job and then they're like, okay, there's something that you don't got to worry about. Or a lot of stuff behind the scenes or whatever. You just got to worry about that.
Exactly.
Exactly what you're doing, you
Yeah.
know? So that's pretty much kind of...
Every move
Well-
every move matters though. Man.
I was gonna say on
You know
top
what I
of
mean?
that, I'm not trying to give the wrong idea here. You definitely be thinking about your money. You need to think about how you
For
gonna
sure.
get it. You
No,
need to
yeah,
think
for
about,
sure, for
like,
sure.
Because otherwise, you're not a business. You're a volunteer.
I think it's a
All right,
given though.
yeah.
Like,
That's
you
why
know-
I think it's a given. I think income is a given.
No, it's not always,
Well,
though.
no. Not in terms of understanding that you need it. Like it's obvious. Okay, like if you're going to business, you need money,
Right.
right? But where you should hang your hat on is the impact.
I agree.
Right?
I
That's
agree.
I think the problem is people are hanging their hat on the money and they're neglecting the impact. And when the money goes,
They're like,
their
what
hat
happened?
goes too with it.
Yeah. No,
Now they
that's-
got no hat.
That's fair. That's fair. I just also
Like
just
going-
want to encourage anybody, just like know that you need to have a business model that's going to generate revenue.
Facts.
Because so often you
Facts.
have people that want to start businesses, they do things, and then it doesn't go far because they're not able to find a successful model that works for them. So I have a team of advisors that I turn to, and they'll get on me for, you know, like, even I do a lot of like service work and stuff like that, and they're like, okay, but you know, sometimes you have to just have to think business minded. You know,
it's
comes
reality.
It's reality.
Yeah.
It
How
comes
do you,
with the
how do
territory.
you, okay, so how do you balance, obviously moving with conviction, right? Because you have a vision, you have a way, your way you see things going, and then also understanding, okay, I need to be open to some advice, right? And especially when it comes to like formulating your model, how do you balance saying, okay, that makes sense, but this doesn't make sense? And sometimes when you tell someone it doesn't make sense, you're not 100% sure, but you know, it's like a feeling. You like, this is what the vision is. How do you kind of balance that? Taking the feedback and integrating that into what you guys are doing.
Yeah, so I mean, you know, I'm very fortunate. Like, you always talk about the team y'all have here, all these wonderful gentlemen here today, and women that support y'all as well. But like, I have people that I talk to, you know, about it, or people that help me. Like my big brother, who is, you know, his name is Matthew, and he is literally my backbone when I can't stand. I say that all the time. He's my spine when I can't get up out of bed, because he encourages me, and he also like knows my values. He knows what this business is all about. He's very like analytical, like engineer, so he thinks about like strategy and all this kind of stuff. So he's able to get those, you know, thoughts going. So it's really important that you have people that are supporting you. Like, he's not the only one. I have mentors. I have, you know, family members that are also there to really like talk me through it.
It's important.
It is so important, because you might think you got the best idea and all this stuff, but you need to have someone that's going to be like, okay, but did you think about this? Did you think about that? Did you think about that? If you don't want that feedback and that honest, like, you know, those honest opinions, then like, you're not really going to grow, you know? And it sometimes, you know, for me, like taking feedback, I know I could be a little stubborn sometimes. You know, I love y'all. You know, everybody listening to this.
Y'all know who you are,
Y'all
I
know
guess.
who y'all are. I can be very stubborn. But it's like,
It's passionate. Let's
it's
use
very
passionate. Yeah, we'll
passionate,
use
yeah.
passionate instead of stubborn.
I mean, I'm a little bit of both sometimes, but it's okay, you know.
I was trying to help.
I'm also very self-aware. So
That's real.
I'm self-aware, and I know that, like, yeah, it's one of those things, something I want to work on. You know, that's one of those things, like,
That's good.
But I come back and be like, so you remember that time you told me? Yeah, good idea. Like, you know, so it's just, and I'll own up to it and stuff. But
That's
just
good.
having a team of like advisors, people you can turn to, people that have just experiences to share, and knowledge and like wisdom to give you, to help you move forward is so important.
And I think it's also important to realize who you're taking feedback from, right? Like, I have this concept of like, there's people who watch you grow, and there's people that grow with you, right? So someone like your brother is someone, obviously, I could say is growing with you. So things they say has more context. Like we talked about that last time, right? Where it's like context. A lot of people are talking with no context. A lot of people are telling hey, bro, I think you should do this, but have no context.
No idea.
Whereas there's some people who have more context than others. So when they say something, you're like, oh, okay, they know about this. So, you know, I'm going to pay a little bit more attention to this one, right?
It carries weight.
Yeah. So you kind of have to be able to filter that out.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
how did you pretty much like grow from the moment you wanted to become or became an entrepreneur?
Yeah.
And like, what things did you pick up along the way? Like
Lessons.
skills, lessons, like
Yeah.
whatever.
Lessons and
anything.
blessings,
Like being
lessons.
self-aware, anything, like, you know what I'm saying?
All of that. Being self-aware, definitely. I know. Like, I was like, man, I need to be thinking about these dollars more, you know, because if you're just thinking about, like, don't get me wrong, for me, the greatest gift, the greatest reward for me is impact, the ability to support and help the community. But in order to take my stuff to the next level, I need to be thinking about, like, how I'm going to generate X, Y, and Z to take it there.
Exactly.
You know, I can't, like, so it's just being realistic with yourself. And also, like, just, again, giving yourself grace. Because, like I said, I thought I was going to do one, you know, Journey Time episode a week, and that didn't happen. So understanding that sometimes it's going to move a little bit differently. And along the way, a lot of people are going to say, hey, you know, I want to help. Let me know how I can help. We talked about that. You know, in the past, for me, it's like, it's hard sometimes for me to accept help. And I know there's a lot of people who genuinely want to support, genuinely want to help, but I can be a little like, just hesitant, or, oh, I don't want to bother them, or, oh, this and all that. But, like, no, like, people want to help. Even at my launch party, all my people, like, were there showing up, supporting, helping, you know, every other, like, there's so many different ways where my friends have supported me. And I'm just, like, I've grown to the point where I'm like, you know, just let them help you. If people want to help you, like, accept it. And
that's hard, too.
It's very hard. And it's still hard now. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I'm still
I know
working
exactly
on it.
what you're talking about.
I'm still working on it, but I feel like I have gotten better as far as accepting help. And just don't be afraid to, like, ask for certain things. Like, I'll give you a quick example. Won't mention any names, but, you know, I can think of a time where I met this gentleman through a mutual friend, very successful person, individual, really nice. And, you know, we met, and he was like, you know, I love this idea. And he's all about investing in young entrepreneurs, you know, that he connects with. And so he loved my business idea, like what I was working on. He was like, you know, just let me know if I can ever help, you know. And I'm like, okay, you know, that's how we ended the conversation. And I was like, all right, well, why don't you try and start taking people up on that? All these people offer, but you never follow up. Why am I holding back? They said it. Let's see if they want to do it for real. Hit him up, like, hey, I have an idea for you on how you may be able to support. You know, he's like, all right, let's get together. My third time ever seeing him. You know, we sit there, talk, have a great discussion, and he's like, yeah, so what's your idea of how I can help? And I was like, you know, I have this idea to go on a pop-up tour with the Promote Positivity movement, go to different states and, like, sell my merch. That way I can get it, then flip it, then do this and that. And he's like, okay, so what can I support? I was like, well, it'd be really cool if you could help me get 100 shirts and 100 hats. That way I have inventory in hand. He said, all right, tell me how much, and wrote me a check.
Wow.
And I only met him 3 times.
You want to give me his number after this?
I'm not going to say his name or who it was, but
no.
I'm just saying that because
That's real.
there are literally angel investors. There are people out there who do want to help. And I've had people sponsor tickets for me to go fly and speak at certain places, or to go hold this event in that community, because they're like, no, we need more of this program in the community. We're going to help you. We're going to help you get out there to do it. So, like, just understand that there are people who want to help. And sometimes when someone says they want to help you, take it and listen to them.
Yo, so I was reading this book called The Go-Giver, and in it had a really strong section about, it's all about giving, right? The book's all about giving, the power of giving, and why giving should be a way of life. But there was a section that spoke a lot about receiving, and why receiving is just as important as giving. And he used a metaphor about a plant, and how a plant essentially needs to take in oxygen to give out oxygen, right? And when I read that, I was just like, oh, wow. Like, it makes sense, right? Sometimes you have to be open to letting someone do something for you, because it's just kind of the flow of life. It's the circle of life, you know? Like, if I'm just blocking, if Erm's trying to do something for me, and every time he tries to do it, I'm like, nah. It's throwing off his flow, you know what I'm saying? In terms of he needs to give, and I need to receive, and vice versa. So.
And people who are, like, multimillionaires and have all
Thanks,
this,
man.
that, like, refuels
Go read
them.
that book.
Yeah. But to your point, it refuels people. Like, you know, like, when you're doing that or you're doing that, it's, like you said, it's a cycle. It's refueling them and giving them that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, let's all refuel each other up.
Yeah. Yeah, so you want to give me that guy's number after the show?
We're going to talk about that later.
I'm joking. Now, obviously, and thank you for sharing, man. You're dropping a lot of gems in here, man.
Oh, yeah,
a lot of
of
jewelry
course.
all over the floor.
Trying to be transparent, you know, trying to share some stuff.
I feel that. And now, obviously, you know, we always like to give guests a chance to kind of speak to some things that they got coming up. Obviously, we're doing an event tomorrow.
Whoop,
When they hear this episode, it's going to be, you know, about a week past
over,
it.
yeah.
But we're
Give us an insight of, like,
an
idea.
It ain't like we can't do it again, so tell them what they missed.
Yeah. So I'm going to pretend like the event already happened.
Yeah. Tell them what they missed.
I'm going to talk about it like it already happened.
Right.
Y'all, so we did our thing with that event. Remember, man? We were all in Seattle.
Yeah, it was the thing.
It was dope. It was packed, you know, like Promote Positivity movement teamed up with y'all, the UpNUp and Boom Buna.
Yeah.
We held it at the Boom Buna Cafe.
Coffee was flowing everywhere,
Coffee.
man.
They had, you know, good drinks, good vibes.
Yeah.
We did the Q&A. Like, we talked. We had a conversation where we just got real with each other. Like, it was good. The energy was real.
We got everybody's up and up one word. What keeps them on the up and up.
That's true. That's right. That part. I love that part. We had everybody share that.
It was real.
We took a big group picture. Everybody was holding up their signs that had the one word. And it was like, yo, we all got our one words up in here. It was just uplifting, inspiring, encouraging, and like a safe space for people to just come together and like empower each other.
Wow, it happened.
It was so dope.
And seen. All right.
I was there. I was just like, oh, yeah.
But so obviously that event, and then what else you got coming? So it was the tour.
I like how you guys did that though.
Yeah, the tour.
Yeah.
You were in
Yeah.
it too, so.
You were.
Yeah, I was. Yeah.
So the tour, the pop-up tour,
Yeah.
Promote Positivity pop-up tour.
Yeah.
You're on tour. That's crazy.
I know.
Like, think about that.
It's so crazy.
Right. So, if you need someone to open up, we just let me know.
Okay.
But what cities we got coming up?
Yes. What cities we
What can
got
people
coming up?
look forward to?
So we already hit. We did New York, Atlanta, North Carolina, the Raleigh-Durham, Cary area. We did Las Vegas. We did the Bay Area, Seattle here, and then
that's like every state. Hold on.
and then coming up, I'm building out the July calendar. DC is already confirmed for I think second or third week in July, and then I'm working on a few other cities. So like hopefully Philadelphia soon, and also St. Louis soon. And I would love to go abroad and do some things like Canada, Australia.
Man, that's
London.
powerful, man. Can we get a round of applause for the Promote Positivity tour just taking over right now? That's dope.
Thanks, guys.
You don't have to be a rapper or anything to go on tour.
You know
She
what
just
I'm saying?
proved it right now.
No, it's so weird, y'all.
This whole time I've been thinking that's the only way.
Bruh, like, to be honest, I wasn't even calling it a tour. If you look at the original post where I shared it, it just said, "Hey everyone, I'm taking the Promote Positivity on the road." And then everybody was like texting me, hitting me up. They was like, "Bro, you going on tour? Like, you going?" I was like, "I guess, yeah, I'm going on tour."
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
you know.
Get your tickets.
Yeah. And then even how these cities came together, because everybody's like, "Dang, you be going everywhere." Like for somebody who's not making that much money and like, you know, working these. I was like, look, I had graduations and I lined them up strategically. I had a cousin's graduation in Vegas, a cousin's graduation in North Carolina, and my sister's graduation in the Bay. And I was like, all right, I'm already going to be going to these cities. Why not team up with people while I'm here and stop by Seattle on the way? So it's being intentional. It's thinking 10 steps ahead before you even get there.
Intentional.
You know.
You learn that through jumping off the bridge and just saying, "I'm gonna do it."
With support.
With support, yeah.
Yes.
I don't want to paint the wrong picture.
Yeah.
Trying to go on tour, bro?
Hey, what's up? We gonna do something.
Y'all need to come to Atlanta, for real.
For sure. Let's line it up.
That's happening.
Let's line it up.
Oh, we got it. Y'all are doing it.
I'm definitely down.
Okay.
I'm definitely down to go on
Live,
tour. Y'all trying to
live
go on
stuff.
tour? What's up? Y'all trying to get it?
Yes. All right. Everybody in it. Everybody in it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Man, that's what's up, man. And I'm happy to hear that, because a lot of times the virtual connections you can make online and social media, those are important, but when you get a chance to like go meet people, in these communities, whether it's a lot of people or like, we like even through the World Is Yours events that we've been able to do, like just being able to connect with people on a personal level, physically, that it's kind of like a lost art, or it's becoming that, so the fact that you get to do that in different cities and just tap in with people of all ages too, man,
Thank you.
it's beautiful, man. It's beautiful.
Thanks, y'all.
So where can they purchase the merch?
Yeah.
Obviously, we're just gonna plug everything right now.
Thank you, y'all. So if you just go on my
Yeah,
Instagram,
all
Facebook, everything, Hannah Joy TV or hannahjoytv.com, and then there's a link in all my bios. It's called on Instagram, Promote Positivity Movement. So just click on there. The link is in the bio, and then if you could just type in hannahjoytv.com, and then there's a shop tab on there, and it's really cool. Like people take picture with it, send it to me, and I'd love to share it on the page. You can go see, but the shirts have been worn thanks to some of the people in here. Like, y'all tapped in. Y'all were some of the first people to, check in, tap in. And so it's been worn so far in 15 states in the U.S. and in 7 countries worldwide. So
there we go.
We're going, and I'm
moving.
keeping track of that because my goal for the end of
like how you do that,
2019 is to hit every state in the U.S. I want a shirt or a hat worn in every state. I want the movement being spread in every state. I
love
want
it.
everyone to feel the positive vibes.
I'm feeling it right now.
Feeling it?
Feeling it, man.
Just like feeling it.
Yeah.
It's real. Y'all feeling it too?
Sprinkling it in. Yeah.
Yeah, and then obviously more content, I could assume, right? More content.
Absolutely. Hannah Joy TV. Yep, that's it. Just YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter.
More
and
positivity,
find the
man.
stories. Yeah, and the stories are really cool.
For years to come. You got anything else? Good?
Just gonna smile.
All right.
He said he was going to do that the whole show. You did it.
I'll be looking across the table. He's just smiling. And you're like, you must have something to say right now.
He said he was going to do it the whole show.
Yeah. Now, obviously, you know how this goes. We always kind of cap off the show
I love
with
this part.
She started taking over the show. All right. Well, for those who are first-time listeners, we always end the show off. We want to make sure we ask our guests this question. It's just something to, kind of sum up everything we've discussed as well as cast what's ahead. So, if you can, what is one word to describe what keeps you on the up and up?
So, because I've seen several of the episodes, it has been used before.
That's all good.
But it's okay. because it's a great word. Community.
Mm.
Yes. I remember Ephraim from Boon Boona, he used the word too. But mine's a little different in the way I see it. For me, like, our ability to impact change in our community, our abilities to make the community stronger, the way our community impacts us, how they pour into us, you know, that's what keeps me on the up and up. That's what keeps me going, wanting to see brighter days for all of our people in our community. So, yeah, if I could sum it all up, it'd be community. Yes.
Community.
Wow. Yes.
Capitalizing unity on the end of that, too.
Yes.
Ooh.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
I never thought about that.
Yeah, man.
I like that.
Let's make that a T-shirt, too.
Yeah, y'all
Let's
should.
do it.
Hey, I can't wait to rock my hoodie, too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just can't wait. It's gonna be dope.
I need mine too.
Yeah, all right, we gonna.
All right, yeah.
You know, I got
For
the
sure.
I got the blue, the navy.
The
blue.
Nipsey blue?
The Nipsey blue, yeah. I
Yeah.
did really think about Nipsey Hussle and you all, like, when I was getting it too, because I was like, there you go, the
Yeah,
marathon
man.
continues.
You already know, man. Come on. All right, well, yo, we can talk for hours and
All
hours and
day.
hours, right? Especially
All
because
day.
this is positive dialogue. But you know, we definitely want to thank you for gracing the mic, being here at the studio,
y'all.
being in Seattle. I
you.
truly believe, you know.
First one from the A too.
Hey, we using the
Think
Nipsey
so.
quote, man. Spoke some things into existence, and they appeared. Like we talked about, you know, you had coming on the show, and
Wow,
here it is.
literally.
Shout
Shout out to Biniam.
Yeah. We see him go like this. Oh, that was funny. He just did the Birdman hand rub for those who can't see it.
No, but seriously, I love
Yeah.
what you all are doing. Keep
Thank
it
you.
going.
Oh, for
We
sure.
need this in the community. We need our young men and young women and even older men and women to
Yeah.
hear these stories. And like, I'm so grateful for the work that y'all are doing.
We
So
need you
keep
too,
it
though.
going.
Yeah, man.
Hey,
You know.
Come on.
we got
It's a
it.
cycle.
We need each other.
Yeah.
We got
Yeah,
this.
that's real. It's real. Well, with that being said, I think it's safe to say that Hannah Joy Gebresilassie is officially, well, she's been, but now she's officially a member of the UpNUp. Can we get a round of applause?